In this lecture, we will talk about using a while loop with dictionaries. We know that each dictionary stores information with associated information between a key and a value. So here we can use a dictionary with user input. So you can prompt for as much input as you need in each pass through a while loop. So let's make a polling program in which each pass through the loop prompts for the participant's name and response. We can store the data we gather in a dictionary. So the response is an empty dictionary we created. Then there's a flag called polling active. We set this flag's initial value is true. And the while loop starts with the while polling active. So if polling active is true, while loop polling active, if the polling active is true, so the while loop in the block will be executed. So the first time the polling active is true. So user will see a prompt called what's your name? What's your name? Then the user will input his or her name. Then the value will be stored in the name variable. Then response is another input which prompts the user to input a mountain. So which mountain would you like to climb someday? Then the user will input a mountain name, and the mountain will be saved in response. Then the response dictionary we created here, we will add a dictionary's key. Key is the name, the user name, user's input's name, and the value is the response is the mountain the user would like to climb someday. So here we create association between a key is a name and the response is a mountain in the dictionary. Then another input prompt for the user to input something, and this time is would you like to let another person respond? And the user will answer yes or no. So if the user input a yes, the repeat this value will be yes. Then next inside the while block is a if test. So if we repeat the value equals no, then we will change polling active this flag to false. But if the repeated value is not no, here if it is yes, then we'll skip this statement and return to while loop directly. So, for example, the first time user input a yes, and we will skip the if test is a fail, is not no, is a fail, then we'll skip this statement and we'll return to while loop. While polling active, because polling active is still true, so the block will be run again inside while loop. The same as user will input his name and will input a mountain name, and for the dictionary response will be created another username and his or her mountain would like to climb someday. Then the user will answer yes or no for this question again. For example, this time the user answer no, so the repeat no. If repeat is no, yes, this is true for this conditional test, then the polling active changed to false. So back to while loop. While polling active, this time while polling active will fail because polling active is false. So while active true? No, is while active not true because polling active is false now. So the while loop will be skipped, not run. then the while loop will be stopped. While loop. Oops. So the while loop stopped and will print some message pulling results. Then for a for loop for the dictionary responses is a dictionary's items function. We have learned dictionary's items function will return a list of key and a value pair. So the items will return a list of the first name, first response, second name, second response, third name, third response, a list for the key value pairs, and so on. Then for this list, each name and the response will be printed out. So here we print a name. Someone would like to climb which mountain, and so on. So all the name and the lists, all the name and the mountains he would climb someday in these dictionaries are printed out. Let us see the code in Anaconda Spider now. So we see the Python file called the user input while loop section 6. The file can be downloaded from GitHub link, and the link has been added in the description of this video. So lecture 6, using a while loop with dictionaries. We're filling a dictionary with user input. First, create an empty dictionary. Then we'll create a variable called pulling active, and we put the initial value is true. Then the while loop starts if the while pulling active is true, pulling active the initial value is true. While pulling active true, then we prompt for the person's name and the response. So name is an input to the person to input his name. Response is a mountain. Then prompt the user to input a mountain he or she would like to climb someday. Then stores the response in the dictionary. So response name is response. The response here is the mountain. So response name is the mountain he or she would climb. Then find out if anyone else is going to take the pull. So this is a new input message for the user. Would you like to let another person respond yes or no? Yes or no? And if the user input yes, so input yes, then if test for the repeat is no, will fail. So pulling active the equals false will be skipped. So we will try this while loop until user input no. So first have to input what's your name. For example, I input Wilson. And which mountain would you like to climb someday? McKinley Mountain. Then would you like to let another person to respond yes or no? Print yes. Then again the while loop will input the name again, another name, but Shirley. And which mountain would you like to climb someday? Then Himalaya mountain. And the question is, would you like to let another person respond yes or no? This time input no. So the while loop stopped. Then we will print the message, print the polling results. pulling results, then a for loop for the response list. Response dictionary is a dictionary's items function, and items function will return a list of name, response, name, response, name, response, a list. So in this example, we input two name to list. So one name list is Wilson McKinley, and another name is Shelly Himalaya, and print name would like to climb response this mountain. We run this. So it's clear. Wilson would like to climb McKinley, and Shelly would like to climb Himalaya. So the name key value pairs in the dictionaries has been created from the user input, and now we print this dictionary's information for the key value pairs.